Aubrey Amatelli, thank you so much for coming on the Edison podcast. I appreciate you being here today.
Thanks for having me, Ed.
Thank you. Did I get it close at all?
Yes, you got it. You got it perfect.
All right. I'm a redneck. What do you want? I'm in California. Where are you located?
I'm in California too, northern.
So am I. I'm in Modesto.
Oh, nice. I grew up
in the Bay Area.
Yeah, in the Bay Area, in the South Bay.
Okay.
But now I'm in the East Bay.
Okay. How's that? All right. So not everybody, half, I'd say probably 1% of the people I interview on a podcast is from California.
Yeah. Look at us, the rare ones.
Because a lot of people have podcasts and everybody comes in and they sit down and they do their podcast. Well, those are in like Las Vegas, close to like San Francisco, Los Angeles, close to an airport where people can fly in and do that. Not Modesto, California.
Nope. How far is that from me? I forget.
What's the city? What's the city are you in?
Close to Oakland.
Yeah, so it's about, well, we're talking with traffic, without traffic. Without traffic, it's about an hour, so I'm 45 minutes to Dublin, Pleasanton.
Oh.
And then another, Oakland is not, another 20 half hour if there's not much traffic. So, I mean, it just depends. If there's traffic, you forget it. It's 2 hours to 3 hours.
Well, our headquarters, PayRio's headquarters, is actually in Danville, which is just 10 minutes from Dublin. So we're closer than you think.
Right. Yeah, that's about 45 minutes on a good day with no traffic.
And rare.
And nobody breaking down or messing up the Altamont.
Exactly.
All right. So let's back up a little bit. So I know you're in the cannabis industry. But we'll get all into it in the pay stuff. But I want to know, is your background, because you worked for a company for a while before you got into this, what's kind of your background?
Well, my background is actually JP Morgan. So traditional payments and banking. I was at JP Morgan for over a decade before I put my computer on do not disturb. I apologize. Before I started PayRio. So I actually was in the startup world in the Silicon Valley, and that's where I started my career. And then JP Morgan came in and acquired that startup and kind of folded me into the payment and the finance world. And I spent over a decade there at the big bank, which really taught me everything. And that's how I got into payments and learned to love payments, and ultimately gave me the knowledge to start a business.
What startup were you part of that was folded into JP Morgan?
It was called BloomSpot. So way back when Groupon, you know them, and Living Social were just exploding, BloomSpot was number 3 in the industry. We were only in very select cities across the country. We are more like a premier daily deal brand. So we did higher end deals with very popular restaurants. So higher ticket daily deals. And it kind of aligned with what JP Morgan's mission was with their like Sapphire card holders. So they purchased us to do the daily deals for their card holders ultimately. So yeah, it was during the Groupon and Living Social days.
Was that awesome. 2007, 8?
It was 2000. It was 2000. Actually, more like 9 and 10.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
close. Very close.
They all blended.
I mean, that was good. That's a very impressive.
Well, no, there was a lot of stuff during that period of time, because I'm in the mortgage industry is what my background is. I've been in there forever, but I do a ton of other stuff, AI, everything else. And so for that, but I remember Groupon, how big it was and how everybody was talking about the stuff and everything that's been going on. And so I understand your market. I understand, JP Morgan Chase. I understand all that, even though I've never worked that type of a corporate job. I understand everything about that because I have to understand what's going on in my market. Mm-hmm. And the one thing about what you're in now is pay and learning how to take pay. I mean, everything that's bought needs to be paid somehow, and online and everything else. And the biggest problem with cannabis is because of the fact that it's a state thing and not a federal thing.
Yeah. Exactly. The federal government it sees cannabis as illegal, right? It still sees it as a Schedule One drug. I mean, aligned with heroin, let's say. So it's right now we're actually going through. It's hot off the press of the news. We're waiting any day now, Trump to potentially have it be a Schedule Three drug, which makes it equivalent to Advil with codeine. So it still would require a prescription, but at least the federal government is saying that it's descheduled. So that would be a big change in the payment world. But ultimately, yeah, the reason that we can't do traditional payments in cannabis is because it's federally illegal. And so that's where PayRio found a niche, is because, the competitors, Square or Adyen or Stripe, the big payment companies of the world, they can't touch or don't want to touch cannabis because they have to comply with Visa and MasterCard, and they just don't want to get into that world, where we have a little bit more flexibility and we can bring in very unique payment solutions to help support the industry. So it's been a fun journey, very creative journey.
Yeah, because in the beginning, for most of the people, it was cash only, and the biggest problem with cash only is now people want to rob you because
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
or they wait until you make your trip. I mean, there's so many shows about how people are getting robbed and stuff with their cash, because it's a lot of money. Because even though the state of California and the federal government doesn't want anything to do with it or doesn't like it, you still got to pay your taxes.
Oh, yeah.
And most of that was in cash for so long. Is it still that way, or with your guys' system you can do it a totally different way?
So we help dispensaries accept payments with credit and debit cards. And so, yeah, we're helping them reduce the cash on hand, which keeps them a lot safer when they have less cash. And so we have so many dispensary partners who have gotten robbed, and, they all have to have security guards at the front, and it is really unfortunate. And so our product does create a cashless transaction, and a lot of dispensaries go from 100% cash to then, closer to 40 or 30% cash once they get our product in there. So it's nice.
This came in my head because I watch all the Landman and all all those Stallone's thing on Paramount. I forget what it's called, where he owns a dispensary right in there, and he's close to Trump. So I'm wondering if he's like, I'm in a show about this, and we need to make these changes, and because I mean that's the biggest problem you have in any cash business. One, you get robbed. Two, I mean, a lot of places like it because then they don't their taxes are different, but this is totally different because this is really regulated. And the problem was when in our area there were so many of these dispensaries that popped up, and for and right, so they can, but you have too many at one time, not all of them are going to survive. And now we've kind of gotten down to less than we had before, which is good, but they're everywhere.
No, they are. And actually it's quite the opposite problem with dispensaries. Taxes are so high. I mean, they have to pay the state tax and the federal tax, and consumers are going in, and taxes are 30 to 40%. And there's something called 280E that doesn't allow dispensaries to, they don't have any non-taxable line items. They can't. So they have to essentially pay taxes on everything, and it's so expensive for a dispensary to survive. So although it's deemed federally illegal, the states are making a lot of money, and everyone's making a lot of money off the dispensaries, and it is just such a small margin for the operators to survive. So I can see a lot of them are so excited to get started, but then it's just such a hard business to make money in now.
I think the ones who are making the money are the ones growing it and selling it to dispensaries.
Yep. Well, that's actually hard too, because the farmers are the last to get paid, right? They give it to the distributors give it to the dispensary, then they have to wait for the dispensary pay, and then it's a tough system. It's a really tough system on the financial side, and something that we're working to be a part of helping. But It's a little bit backwards that it's still federally legal, especially us being here in California, right? We've been around cannabis for so long. There are some states where you can still go to jail if you're caught, holding a joint in public, where it's so different for us. So I'm hoping a lot of change will be made, but you never know. We kind of get excited about this a couple times a year, it seems like, and nothing changes. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it, the easier, I mean, it's like prohibition. Once you make it legal, then it's much cheaper for everybody. And I'm hoping the fact if they do make it where the federal government that, I mean, it is, people don't understand you because you brought it up, the tax, how much they tax them. It is ridiculous how much they have to pay in taxes on this stuff. And that needs to be changed. So that's just, I don't want to say highway robbery, but it really is. That's the biggest problem we all have. State of California wants it so that they know people are going to use it. And I don't know the age bracket and how many people, but I saw something the other day that they were talking about that if Trump gets this done, he's going to swing back the younger voters again because 50% of them use it.
I think is it 18 or 21? I should know that. I think it might be 21.
I have no idea. It's
yeah.
a thing.
I've always been above the legal age, I guess, to go to dispensary when I started going. So, but I think it might be 21.
It probably is. Who knows? I mean, if drinking is, I assume it's the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All cigarettes are 18 though, right?
Right, but they don't have anything bad in them.
No, not at all.
Nicotine's good for you. That's how they sold it back in the day. All right. So why would you leave? Please don't take this wrong. A really good paying job to go do this.
Oh, good question. Well, I mean, I have a great answer. So I left JP Morgan actually after a decade. I was ready to get back into the startup world. That's where I started. I was born and raised in Silicon Valley, and it was my time. And I was working at the time at JP Morgan with fast growing startups. I had become a commercial banker in the technology and disruptive commerce group. And my goal was to become a C-suite in a startup, create that relationship, and leave JP Morgan to go back into the startup world. My kids were a little bit older, and I just always had the itch to be a leader of a company. And so I did that. I actually, before starting PayRio, I left JP Morgan to be the chief revenue officer of a Fintech. And so I left my job at JP Morgan to be the CRO at a Fintech, which was, a great decision for myself and my kids. And financially, I thought it was going to be really, change our lives, right? I got into that company, a really great product they were selling. But very quickly I realized I had an incredible knowledge from JP Morgan to bring to a startup, which was wonderful. But I was the only female in the entire C-suite and board of that startup. And that was something that I felt after a time was really holding the company back. And I wanted to see a change in that. It was a publicly traded company, and they just, weren't open to having any more female leadership. So the reason I left.
So one was enough. Yeah. Is that what you're saying?
They thought, one was enough. And I didn't think it was, and it was, it was hard to have a voice in that situation. But the revenue was great. My team did great. We hit all of our goals, but it really inspired me. If I couldn't make change within, I wanted to make change externally, right? I was ready to go out on my own. So that's why I left a high paying job, because I wanted to start a company in industries that I was passionate about. And I realized at that startup, I had the knowledge to help a startup grow. And I knew when I started the company, I would want to support female leadership, stay-at-home moms, and just make sure it was open, for everybody to work. And that was the initial mission of PayRio, was to, inspire and help women who, and help lift them up in their careers. And we do today. Over 80% of the company is female, and there are many stay-at-home moms that work for the company. So.
Well, and my problem is, whoever's best for the job needs to get the job, period. And in my industry, that's female. I'm serious.
Yeah.
Guys are lazy as you know what. Women want, again, just what they want to get stuff done. They focus on stuff. And that's how things get done. So I'd rather hire female over males than anything I'm doing. And it's not to knock males. There's certain things that they can, I'm just saying everybody who's best for the job needs to get the job, period. And
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm an old white guy, but I look at things totally differently. My dad was a bigot, and my mom was somewhat of one. So I learned how not to be by being around them.
We need more of you, Ed.
Yeah.
We need more of your kind.
Well, and it's just, I think that's not being intimidated. I know everything about me, and I've been through so much stuff that. So why do I care who gets the job? If she's going to do the best job, then she gets the job. I still, what does it matter? And that I never understood that. So I'm sorry.
Me neither, which is why I couldn't, I knew I wanted, if there wasn't going to be a change within, I wanted to be the change. And I know it was a big risk, but I was willing to take it. And I had the confidence in myself to do it. And we did it. So.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, some companies get created out of old boys network kind of thing. And then they want to, and it's like, okay, I'm not part of that network. I don't want to be part of that network. I'm creating a bunch of stuff right now, just myself from not in my industry, outside of my industry, because I'm tired of my industry. It is one of those industries that no matter what I do, it gets destroyed by somebody else. And then I have to retool. And I understand in a perfect world with business, things happen all the time and you have to change with that. I get that. But, just because somebody doesn't like a past president, they mess up the whole market or vice versa. I hate politics and the stuff that's in there, but it's in everything, unfortunately.
It is. Unfortunately, I agree.
I mean, then we'll just move on from there. All right. So,
yeah.
So how did you decide to start PayRio?
Well, I initially, when I was ready to start my own company, I thought about what industries I was passionate about, and and it was alternative medicines ultimately. So I started out focusing in on CBD, and very quickly realized that the CBD companies had Square. They had the traditional payment processors because that is a federally legal product. But all of them were asking, hey, we have a dispensary. Can you help us with payments in that? We really need credit card payments and dispensaries. So it was the common request. And I knew I found a niche there. And I also, growing up in California, I've been around California cannabis for a really long time, actually since 2010. My kiddo's father was a grower in Santa Cruz County. So I saw the industry go from home growers, to federal or to state legalization, and saw the industry change. And so I was ingrained in that industry, outside of the JP Morgan world, but on the personal side. And I thought, wow, this is perfect. I'm marrying the payments, the love of payments, and helping this industry that I've seen kind of tanking and then, growing again, and helping bring a new payment method to that industry. So it was the perfect opportunity. And that's how we got into cannabis. We've grown from there and support many different alternative medicines now, but credit card processing and dispensaries was what really got us going and kind of helped us skyrocketed at the beginning.
Okay. And I have a question. So if it becomes legal nationwide, not the Schedule 1 thing, but if they decide to really, make it, is that going to affect your payment business?
It absolutely will. Yeah. So that's where the big players in the industry are going to be able to come in and process payments. But really where it's going to affect us is the point of sale system. So you think about a grocery store when someone's ringing up everything, it's on the screen, right? And then that terminal at the grocery store populates that final amount and you just tap your card. Right now in cannabis, there's no connection between the point of sale and that terminal because of the issues with payments. But those point of sales are in every single dispensary, and all they have to do is flip on a button to turn that terminal on, and they're just waiting for the day of federal legalization. We supply those terminals. So once federal legalization happens, the dispensaries aren't going to need our terminals. They're just going to have, they want the point of sale terminal, because it'll make their life a lot easier having that integrated payment. So we know that's coming. It's going to be a while, but we've also helped dispensaries and the industry in other way with ACH and B2B payments and e-commerce payments. And we've grown since then. And so we're helping the dispensaries while we can, but it will be essentially a product that we ultimately have to sunset.
Yeah, but so where do you go from there? With this company, how do you make those changes so that you can be part of that? I mean, is there a way to fix it?
I have a lot of ideas. I mean, we could, partner with partner with the point of sale, acquire a point of sale. We could be acquired by maybe an external point of sale, not in cannabis, who wants to just acquire a customer base. So there's a lot of options. It just depends on how fast. Every one of our customers has our payment solution, but different point of sales. And so all of those point of sale companies are going to want the payments. So it is going to be a little bit of a battle there. So I have lots of thoughts on that. I'm just kind of trying to figure out which one's the best move and which way to go. I think we have time before federal legalization. So we've been growing our business outside to kind of create a safety net first. And then I want to focus on what's next in that part of the business.
So you're getting clients who love you and want to use you, so that when things change, you potentially can't be there for them. Is that what I heard?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And we're also we've also expanded beyond dispensary credit card processing, and we have other products that with federal legalization, we won't lose those customers and those at all. So they'll stay with us.
Even though cannabis is your specialty, you have other sources that you've been growing since then. That sounds fun.
Yes. Yes. We do e-commerce payments for CBD, for THCA, for cannabis seeds, for psilocybin spores. We have a huge peptide e-commerce part of our business. We do ACH for farms and manufacturers. So we have a lot of payment methods outside of the, physical terminal you see at the dispensary. And that is all because we know that in the next 2 to 3 years, that there will be hopefully federal legalization, but we just don't know when.
You say hopefully. Are you really hopeful? Do you really want it? I mean,
I am. Okay. Yeah, I really am. I am hopeful for federal legalization. For me, PayRio is my fourth child. But at the end of the day, I am just so passionate. We've been helping the industry for over 3 years, and I love the businesses in the industry, the people, they're amazing. And I love helping the dispensaries, and I just want what's best for them. And I know that we'll be okay too, but I would never advise a customer to stay with us if they had an integrated payment solution. So this company is like an extension of me, and I want what's best for everybody. So I do hope for federal legalization. I know that will mean a change with, the way PayRio operates, but that's okay.
You can't integrate with the point of sale or have your own? I'm just trying to understand. That's all.
Yeah. So I think a partnership with the point of sale is something we could do. I've been talking to point of sales, potentially acquiring small point of sales, like a smaller point of sale, and starting to transition our customers to that point of sale. It's just a big uplift. I think the best option would be to have an external point of sale come and acquire PayRio, and then utilize their funds and what they had to then pull all of the customers over to that point of sale. That would probably be be the best option because we have such a big customer base. So if there is a business outside of the cannabis market that wants to come in and participate because they see the opportunity, why not acquire a business that has, all of the relationships in cannabis, and you can immediately have hundreds of customers, thousands, hopefully by that time. And that'll be a really great way to hit the road with the ground running.
I was going to say, and also a good exit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's because what people don't understand is when you build a business, more traditional businesses don't ever think about an exit.
Mm-hmm.
The Silicon Valley people, the startups and everything, they all think about it. They want to, are we going to get bought by somebody? What's our plan? What's this? They usually have an exit in place, where most traditional business never think about that until it's too late or they're too old, or, there's a lot of companies right now, plumbing companies, HVAC companies, who all the owners are in their late 50s and early 60s, and they want to retire, and nobody, none of their family wants it. So now they got to sell it to somebody else. And that's a totally different industry that's out there right now, buying up those businesses. But
I've heard of that industry. Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing. I know a lot of guys doing it. It's just not what I want to do. It's not much. I mean, I already ran a business. I don't, a lot of them are like, you get a business and then they fix it and then they put somebody in charge and run it. Well, I know people have 19, 20 of these types of businesses all over the place.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
You need one person to oversee all that stuff, and there's some people who do really well with that. I'm not those people.
Mm-hmm. I love running PayRio. It's the best job I've ever had. It's the hardest job I ever had, but I get to impact it. I get to help make the decisions and the direction, and yes, I've made mistakes and fumbled, and we could be, it's a lesson learning lesson all day long, every single day. But that's why I run the business, is because I get to help build it, build it along the way. I don't think I could ever acquire a business and just pass it off. That would be interesting. My heart and soul, and PayRio is kind of an external piece of me. If you can probably tell by looking at the website, or me wearing a pink and blue Christmas sweater.
Yeah. I mean, I noticed with Pod Match and then the website and everything else.
Yeah.
But and again, it's about doing what you're passionate about. And that's what you did. And what you did is you niched to which a lot of people don't niche, and you need to niche to what you're trying to do. You can't be a shotgun to everybody, because then no one hears you. And the people you went to heard you that needed your help.
Yeah, exactly.
What should I have asked you today that I didn't ask you?
Oh, I don't know. What do you usually ask entrepreneurs?
But yours is a different business, the cannabis business, and you're doing.
Yeah.
You talked about peptides. Is that a business that's very difficult to get payments in? Because I hear it all the time. I hear all the time people are like, I'm taking this peptide and this peptide and that peptide.
It is. It's one of the fastest growing industries, and it was regulated by the FDA a little bit over a year ago, which means the federal government gets in, which means Visa and MasterCard follow. So you can't process peptides online, like as if a peptide company can't use the traditional e-commerce rails through Visa and MasterCard like they could a year and a half ago. So hundreds, if not thousands, of peptide websites were shut off, and they were looking for a home. Well, because we have these unique payment solutions that we built for cannabis, they perfectly align for the peptide industry. So now we're one of the largest peptide payment processors in the industry just by default, because the peptide industry found us and we were able to support them. And now, and the word got out. And so it's been a really awesome, learning for us about the peptide industry, but also supporting another industry, which I think are medicines that can really help people too, that were regulated. So yeah, the peptide world is a big one, and there are new businesses popping up all the time. It does remind me of cannabis. Like you said, in Modesto, there's all these dispensaries, and then it starts to fade and there's only a few. Right now, it's an explosion of new peptide websites, because there's a huge opportunity. But I think in a year or so, the strong will survive as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just so happy that they've scaled down because I got tired of smelling it. California weed stinks. My wife's from Hawaii. She's like, our weed didn't smell like this.
Really, you don't like the skunky smell?
No, not at all. It gives me a headache. Um,
Yeah.
but like I said, I mean, you can definitely tell when someone, is. And my question is, why can't they get that smell out? You know what I mean? Make it more pleasing. So that word. Because
Oh,
the biggest problem is you can be walking somewhere and they're like, oh my gosh, and because somebody is, and that's their right. But if there could be a way to make it better, different smells, different that I'd see. That's where I would think people should go. I don't
they
know why. I don't know why it smells like that because they can tell I don't do it. So
some of the grower, I mean, the scent and is something of pride
is
for
it
some growers. Yeah. The skunkier, the smellier, the better. So
really?
I think it just depends. Yeah. Depends on your preference. There are tool or machines where you can smoke and then blow the smoke into a machine and it takes like a tube and it takes the entire smell away.
Then more people should do that.
Yeah. For you. Just for you.
That's around me. I don't care.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want. I don't care. I just don't
I
want to be in my
yeah.
backyard and then get this whiff of, and it's just so powerful. Then
I prefer that over cigarette smoke.
I don't want any cigarettes at all around me. So that's beside the point.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd much rather have a cigar but I still don't smoke them all anymore much. So
Yeah.
Aubrey, it was nice having you on the show today. How do people find your company if they need help with a unique purchase? Because when you said psilocybin mushrooms, the first thing I thought, I'm a vet. There's a lot of veterans who are going to different alternative to deal with their PTSD and other things. So I appreciate you supporting those by letting them take their payments.
Yeah, that's another industry that we do support is psilocybin and microdosing. I actually am just recently asked to be on the advisory council for a nonprofit called Moms on Mushrooms, MOM. By her name is Tracy T, and she's been on national news and Dr. Phil talking about the benefits of microdosing psilocybin. And I'm very proud to be part of that as well because there are some amazing benefits to plant medicine that we're just scratching the surface of. So yeah, we can help support that industry as well. So if you want to learn more about us, it's payrio.co or .com. We have them both. Started out as a .co because .com was way too expensive, and now we have them both. I had a goal, and I hit the goal, and we bought the .com. And then I'm very active on Instagram, so PayRio_HQ. If you want to find us there, and then LinkedIn is always a really great way to connect as well. Aubrey Amatelli.
Yeah. The thing for me is for vets, right? I support them and everything else. And the biggest problem with our PTSD is that the VA wants, and we really feel this way, that they want to kill us because the first thing they do is subscribe us so much medicine that it's ridiculous. And then people lose like 3 months of their life or 6 months because they don't remember what they were doing. And they finally get off and they try other things and it makes it so much better. But I'm not telling people not to take it. I'm just saying there's other ways to deal with things and try alternative before you take that stuff. It's really bad. So,
well, I mean, I know it's called Moms on Mushrooms, but it's really for that. I mean, it's a great nonprofit. It just talks about those benefits and just education on the differences. And she's a real big advocate. And anyway, yeah, I agree. I agree. It's good to check everything out and see what works for you. And I actually, when I stopped drinking alcohol and there's other medicines to help with anxiety and stress, etc. So I'm a big believer in that.
Oh, well, I'm glad that you. So I do a fire walk over here for veterans once a year. This year we're moving it to the weekend after Veterans Day. That'll be in November. So if you run into people who want to support veterans, we're always looking for people to come there and talk about, have tables and talk about their stuff so vets can get help elsewhere. Besides,
okay, yeah, let's connect offline. There's a lot of cannabis companies who actually support veterans as well. So
He
on
brought one the first year, and then we didn't ask him the second year, and it had nothing to do with them. It's just those things. We scaled it back. We didn't have as much time. That's the thing.
Yeah.
We're trying to get it done in 2 hours. Actually do a fire walk in 2 hours. Again, Aubrey, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Yes, I'm so happy to be here.
My pleasure.